All right, so this is a readiness standard. That means you will see this on your CBA. How do I know this? Because you do not have a Unit 6 test. So instead of a Unit 6 test, we're actually going to put quite a few, or what I've been told, they're going to put quite a few of these lovely scatterplot stuff on there. So you are going to use a trend line that approximates the linear relationship between bivariate sets of data to make predictions. How many of you are totally confused by that? All right, I got a couple hands. So a trend line is just a line that goes in the middle of a whole bunch of dots of data. Linear is what? Straight line. And then relationships, just talking about how X and Y talk to each other. We did this on the last unit with the functions. Bivariate just means we have two variables this time. So like X and Y. And then data, it's just a whole lot of information, and we're going to make predictions. That means we're going to figure out what's going to happen based on this lovely data. Y'all good with that now? All right, we're going to flip over to page 147. 147. Bivariate. It's just a data with two variables. Line of best fit. This is basically a line straight in the middle of all of your little dots. So I'm going to have y'all draw in real quick for me. Yes, you're going to draw in some dots. Doesn't have to be exactly this many. And then what you're going to do is you're going to draw a line straight through the middle of it. This is your line of best fit. Any questions up to here?
Is it always straight?
It is always straight. Yes, because you want to make sure that what you're doing will be in the middle of all of your data. But yes, it is always a straight line. Very great question. Any other questions? All right, a negative, so a linear association is just an association that can be done with a straight line. That means if all of your dots look like they can make a straight line together, that's a linear association. Negative association, think about your negative slope. This is your association where the y value decreases as x increases. So, negative slope. Inequality, we're going to be talking a little bit about those. Y'all know that. No association, that's when there's like all sorts of dots everywhere. Positive association, think about positive slope. Predictions, you already know how to do predictions. You've been doing it forever in reading. Scatter plot and trend lines are always straight. All right, any questions on any of the vocabulary? All right, fabulous. All right, so we're going to contrast. This is a supporting bivariate sets of data that suggest a linear relationship with the bivariate sets of data that do not suggest a linear relationship from a graphical representation. Translation, all you're going to do is figure out how it all works together. Is it a positive slope, negative slope, or no association? Y'all good at that? Graphical just means you're going to be looking at a graph. 150. This you're probably not going to be tested on very much because you're not going to be constructing. However, you may have to describe a scatter plot and observe the data to address questions of association. Positive association, no association, negative association. Y'all are looking at me like, oh my gosh, this looks like a lot. What if I told you that this isn't as bad as you're thinking? That if you understood slope, that this is not hard at all. It's even easier than slope. All right, flip over to 151. What you're seeing on that nice little graph on that page, on this whole thing, those are scatter plots. So scatter plots are graphs that use to display numerical data. That means data with numbers, with two variables, or bivariate data. If y'all can remember, like a bicycle has two wheels, bivariate just means we have two variables. Scatter plots can help determine if one variable has an effect on the other, or if there are overall trends, patterns, or associations between the variables. Any questions as of yet? Y'all good so far? Y'all ready to answer some questions? What if I told you this would probably be easier for you than it is for me? All right, so Susie went to the mall and surveyed shoppers to see how many items they'd purchased and total amount of money they'd spent at the mall. She created the scatter plot below. So, how many shoppers did she survey? Translation, how many dots is there? See, told y'all I'd be faster than me. Yep. So 16 people. So does the amount of items they purchase seem to have an effect on the amount of money they spent? So the more items, did they spend more money? Or did it have any, or is there any kind of relationship like that?
Yeah, they buy different items.
Okay, what do you notice about the money with the amount of items? Is it different?
Yeah.
What do you mean by different? They are different numbers.
But they're not spending the same time.
Well, obviously. Because somebody could have bought a TV, somebody could just bought shoes. Shoes and TV cost a little bit more than each other. Did somebody who spent who got 10 items, did they spend the least?
I mean, it depends.
Look at the graph, does it?
Yeah. It's the highest one.
Oh, so it's the highest. So did it depend, or was it the highest?
It's the highest.
What about the person who spent like who only bought one or two items? Did they spend the least?
Yeah.
They did, right? So is there some sort of association with how much they're spent versus how many items they got? What do you got? So I'm hearing yes. What do we see? Think easiest thing you could tell me. What do you got? Just looking at the graph, what do you notice? More items they spent, what happened? What about the less items they spent? That's it.
Oh, wait, that's not.
That's it.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that the cost went down.
Yeah,
Because what if they bought like something big or like a car?
Well, and that's what we call an outlier. These are going to be items that are outside what everybody else has. But I mean, in general, the more items you buy at a grocery store, what happens to your price of your money?
It goes higher.
Yeah. It'd be good if I could spell today. The more someone buys, the more they spend. Now, your rulers. I'm going to see if I can find mine real quick. What you're going to do is you're going to try to draw a line in the middle of all of those dots. Y'all good at that? So try to figure out where your dots are on both sides of your line. And then draw a line. Now, in my opinion, Trend lines are probably the hardest thing to draw.
That was right.
Hello. It's probably more about like right there. Yeah, you're drawing a straight line through the middle of all your data. I tried to get as close as I could. Trend lines are not exactly the most friendly thing to me.
My ruler's funky.
It doesn't have to be perfectly straight. And you do have two to choose from.
This one's a big.
Pretty much. Use the other side. Alrighty. So this, guys, is be what we would call a positive association. The more money somebody spends, or the more items they tend to get. Unless it is something out of the normal, which is what we call an outlier. So, positive variation or association, which would be like what you see here. So like if I was to draw a trend line in the middle of this, it'd be probably something like that. Or always something like that. It really doesn't. And your stuff may not start at 0. It doesn't always have to start down there. Because sometimes your association may start when somebody already has something. So that means we already have a B. So 2 variables have positive association when the variables move together. So, for example, as one variable increases, the other variable, what do you think? Yeah, it also increases. If you look at it, the larger the x goes, the higher the y goes. If I do the same thing on this one, the higher the y is, what happens to my x? Is it big or small? It's smaller. So, these ones move in opposite directions. For example, as one variable increases, the other one decreases. Any questions on this so far? And then yet again, if you draw right in the middle, does that mean what? It is negative. And if you look at it, if you were to draw the trend line, that looks like it's a negative slope. Now, no association means there is no association when you have the change in one variable has no effect on the second variable. So for some people, I'm trying to even think about a no association. How many of you in here, the colder it gets, the less clothes you wear? Just asking, like you're the shorts and tank top person. Y'all would be the no association. The rest of us, the colder it gets, the more clothes we put on. Just saying. Like I have a coat on today. Well, not in here, but I do have my big coat with me today. Because it's cold. But I have seen several people who, the colder it gets, they tend to be this tank top and shorts people.
That's what my grandparents.
Uh-huh. And it's not just one person, it's a few. So they're my no associations. All right, so we've got a few situations. It'd be good if I could talk today. Where we're going to talk about associations. So the hours a person studies and the number of states they've visited. What do you think?
Positive association.
How about this? I have probably been to, I'd say 30 of the states. Anybody in here been more?
I travel a lot.
There we go. Now, I have a bachelor's degree. Cadence is in 8th grade with y'all. So So does it matter how much somebody studied versus how many states? No. So is there an association between that? No. It is no association.
At all?
No. My stepdad, who has a doctorate because he's a lawyer, has only been to like probably 15 states, if that. I've been to more states and I have less of a degree. So does it matter?
No.
No, you could have somebody who goes and travels the world. That doesn't mean they have a really high education, or it doesn't mean they don't. You don't know. The hours a person studies and they're great on a test.
Positive.
Yeah, that's probably positive. So the hours a person studies and the hours they spend watching TV.
Negative.
Yeah, because probably the more you're studying, the less TV you're watching, or the more TV you're watching, the less studying you're doing. Y'all good with that? Yeah, you can actually multitask. You're actually taking percentage of your brain away from whatever you're doing. Just an FYI. All right, flip your page when you're done. So if a straight line can be drawn to follow the overall trend of a scatter plot, it is linear. If the points of data are close together, that means the closer the little dots are, it is what we call a strong association. If they're spread apart, it's called a weak association. So we're going to talk about the association, the strength, and whether or not it is linear. So y'all ready for this? Number one, what do you got? Okay, it is a strong. What else do you got for me?
Positive.
It's positive. I'll take it. Thank you. Thank you. So it's positive. And can we draw a straight line through it?
Yes. Well, actually, there's a dog blocking its path. Oh.
Eesh, that's horrible. Sorry. Still horrible. This is why I don't like trend lines. There we go.
Big trend.
So this is linear. All right, what about your next one? We're on page 152, Paris.
I think it's weak.
It is positive. It is fairly weak because they are more spread apart. And can I draw a straight line in the middle of it?
Yes.
So this is linear.
Can it be a little bit of both? Like it goes into a weak, then to strong.
The majority of it, though, is it weak or strong? Does that make sense? When you're looking at that, you're not just looking at an itty bitty section. You're looking at the overall thing. Good question.
Weak.
All right, so the next one, what do you got?
Non-linear.
It is non-linear. Because if I try to draw a middle of that, it looks like that. So I'd say that's probably not a good trend line. All right, what else you got?
Strong.
It is strong. And it is positive. Remember, if you're not sure, use your arms. You guys did that whole thing for a whole lot.
Oh, yeah.
All right, what about the next one?
Strong. Non-linear. Negative.
So strong, non-linear, and negative. Yeah, because when I try to draw a trend line, let's see here. Let's see if we draw a trend line, what happens?
It's straight.
It is straight, which means that is not non-linear. It is
Linear.
linear.
Gotcha.
Hey, we're learning. All right, what about the next one? Can I draw a straight line through that?
No.
No, because remember, I want to draw right in the middle. So this is nonlinear. What do y'all think? Weak?
Yes, I'd say weak.
And it's definitely negative. All right, what about your next one?
This one looks kind of weak.
Okay, so this is definitely weak. There is nothing together.
It might be. I don't know.
Kind of strong.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's strong. It's non-linear.
It is nonlinear.
I don't know.
Well, there's no dots. There's no group of dots I could draw a middle of a line through. So what else do we see here?
You're right.
You said what over
I
here?
think it's non-associated.
It is no association.
Oh, yeah.
Because do I have any of these dots going into any kind of line? I mean, if I draw anywhere in here, I can't draw a straight line and get the majority of the dots. Because that's what your trend line does. It goes through the majority of your dots. All right. Let's talk about this next one. Person's height versus their shoe size.
Non-associated.
Associated. I mean, positive.
Do we think this is a positive association?
Yes.
Yes. No.
Yes.
Yes.
How could?
Maybe.
How would your height? Your height doesn't always have to be.
Yeah, your height affects your shoes.
No, it don't.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, so let's talk about this.
What's your shoe size?
We could do shoe size. Y'all want to do shoe size real quick and see? Are you done growing? So let's talk adults. Let's talk adults. Let's talk about some of our NBA players.
Oh,
They're really tall, right?
I told y'all.
How big are their feet?
They are pretty massive.
They're fairly massive now.
You know what else?
I'm also an adult.
Low taper fade.
Your feet aren't ginormous.
Yeah, my feet are smaller.
Low taper fade.
Shut up, Casey.
In fact, if y'all ever see me in boots, you'll be like, oh my gosh, how small are your feet?
How big
Yeah,
is
and you're.
it?
What's that?
6.5 is my boot size.
Low taper fade.
So for gentlemen, those of you wondering, wait a minute, that's small. Yeah, subtract 2 sizes from that, and that's what I wear in y'all stuff.
You wear a 6?
4.5 to a 5.
My shoes are massive though. Just like the low taper fade.
Ladies, if you ever want to know what your shoe size is in men's, subtract that by 2.
And so, yeah.
And then that would be what you'd wear in gentlemen's sizes. Gentlemen, if you ever want to know what size you wear in ladies, add 2 sizes to your shoe size, and that's what you actually wear in ladies.
You wear a 10. I wear a 10 ladies.
If you wear an 8 in gentlemen's, yes.
So I wear 11.
So, ladies, let's talk about this. How small are your feet versus your gentleman right next to you? And how much taller are they?
I'm like,
Is there a difference between yours and theirs? Now, especially when you get into high school, yeah, they're almost done growing, and their feet are a lot bigger than some of y'all's.
What?
I'm gonna be short.
Like, the taller you are, the bigger your feet generally are.
I knew it was positive.
It is a positive association.
Hey guys. I'm trying to work here.
Bless you.
All right. The number of letters in someone's name versus somebody's IQ.
No association.
Anybody want to vote for a positive association there? Everybody's like, nope. So obviously we could say that's a negative.
Negative.
Yeah. Or we could say no association. Would you rather do no association?
Yes. Check.
Oh, okay. Just checking on y'all.
A person's IQ.
So it's not changed by letters
What about
or numbers. All right. What about somebody who's never here? Does their GPA go down or up?
down? I think it goes down.
I can guarantee you it does. Because the people who are not here as much, a lot of times their grades are much lower. So this one, yeah, you guys are right. This is a definite negative. More absences, worse grades. That I will guarantee you. All right, I'm going to scroll this up. All right, what do y'all think? The temperature outside and the total gallons of gas sold at a gas station.
Negative.
Does it matter?
No.
Wait, if it's cold, people don't go outside.
No.
People still have to go to work.
Oh.
It's cold outside, this air still good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bro, you don't even look at
So I guess we're going to say this one goes with this one. No association.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
That's A.
Oh.
All right, so let's look at the next one. The size of a home and the cost of monthly utilities for the home.
I think that's A.
Oh, we have to
Yes.
Is there a positive association there, negative association there?
Negative. That's it.
All right, so let's talk about this.
Oh, positive.
My brother-in-law's home is probably half the size of mine.
Can you let her talk?
And if not a little less, a little more than that. And my utilities went up quite a lot based on when I used to live where he does versus where I am now.
Oh, so positive.
Yeah, that's a positive.
Ow.
I think C is there.
And then the altitude of a hiker and the total oxygen level in the air.
Oh, that's negative.
I guess I was just.
Yeah, the higher you go up, the less air you got. I am definitely proof of that one. I came from Wyoming, which is like 6,000 feet down to 800 feet. It's very different feel.
Did you breathe?
Down here, I had to remind myself to breathe every once in a while.
Oh, okay.
Now it's like normal. But that's the reason why if you ever watch football players, they'll actually have oxygen tanks depending on where they are on the sidelines. Yeah, because they don't have as much oxygen. This happens more or less a lot of times with college football more than regular football.
That's cool.
Neat, huh?